Hey Calgary, it's been a while since I've answered that age-old question, is it a good time to buy? Now, a lot has changed since the last time I did one of these videos, so let's take a look at some reasons why that might be true. Now, the classic realtor response is always going to be yes, as I've said in the past. But I think there are a number of factors that are leaning in Calgary's favor. Now, almost everyone I know is talking about, when is it going to crash? Now, we had what could almost be considered a crash last year in 2024 with a 5 to 7% drop in September. And currently, benchmark prices have remained relatively stable, down only 1% from the start of this year, excluding the East and Northeast, which were way overheated. This is what we'd expect from what we call a balanced market, where the number of buyers are relatively equal to the number of sellers. There's an old saying. It says, be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. Now, there is a lot of fear in the market. I certainly can't guarantee that next year we're going to have a much better market or that we're fully poised for another explosive jump like we saw over the past few years. But given the amount of fear and trade turbulence, prices have remained shockingly stable. Looking at mortgage rates, the Bank of Canada actually decided again today to drop mortgage rates down another quarter point, bringing them down to 2.5% policy rate. That's down 2.75% from the highs of last year. First-time buyers can now expect to get as low as 3.69, and that could even go a little bit lower. On a $500,000 home for a first-time buyer, that is a $750 a month savings from the highs of last year. So next, let's look at population. Alberta has outpaced the rest of the country in interprovincial migration and just population growth by far, gaining 20,500 new Albertans in the first quarter alone, compared to Manitoba in second place at only 3,300. Of particular interest there is the 18 to 24 demographic. These young people are largely moving here for jobs and housing affordability. So that's a large new section of the population that is approaching the age where they're going to be looking for their first home, condo, townhouse, whatever. You may have heard that Alberta's unemployment is actually at its highest rate since 2020. At a little over 7%. What the numbers aren't telling you is that that is actually largely in part-time employment, with Alberta's full-time employment growing by 3.2% since the start of the year. So that is a lot of new Albertans with steady jobs looking to buy a home in affordable Alberta. To top off the good news about employment, we're getting a lot of new investment coming in here, and not just in energy, but in non-energy sectors as well, with billions being funneled into new pipelines, processing facilities, and manufacturing facilities. So that's even more jobs that are going to help employ these new Albertans and help them achieve their dreams. So what is all this pointing to? Well, not exactly the perfect storm, but a confluence of factors that are likely to help stabilize and create some increases, especially in starter homes such as townhomes and duplexes. This is likely to lead over time to price increases in that lower tier that's going to ripple up into the higher price brackets, as we saw from 2020 to 2024. Now, at the end of the day, whether it's the right time to buy is highly personal and dependent on every person's situation. Now, if you're curious about what it looks like in your situation, definitely give me a call. We can help you look at some options and get you planning so you can take that next step in your life. All right, thanks a lot, Calgary. Catch you on the next one.